Greetings, degenerates. My name is Remenim, and in this video we are going to explore different methods of creating a campaign and who they are suited for depending on traits and experience. For videos of this nature, it is largely subjective. If you don't agree with something I said in the video, feel free to leave a comment and we can discuss it. Or alternatively, we can throw dung at each other like monkeys, which is also an activity I enjoy. Part 1. The bottom-up approach. This method is best suited for beginners, lazy DMs, or those poor souls who offer to DM because no one else wanted to. I am pressing F for you, my brothers. Stay strong. The benefit of writing a campaign in such a way is that you're less likely to make continuity mistakes, forget lore because you didn't write it yet, duh, and you don't need as much knowledge on writing a believable world as the top-down approach requires. You start from the village, town, or dungeon level and build your way up from there as the campaign progresses. You can do this for any area you wish to create, but for this example, let's go with the town. The biggest questions you have to ask yourself are: why is this place built here? Who lives here? How is this place governed? And what points of interest are in and around it? Start with the first question. Why is this place built here? For this, I'm going to use the example of Buscar from my own campaign. Buscar is a town on the western border of Gaelia. It was built on the plains, so it has decent farmlands and a water supply from underground. The position it occupies means a lot of trade goes through it. That is the reason why it grew to a larger size and why it actually appears on the map. The leaders of the nation know this, and so they built forts and castles along the border in order to protect it. Who lives here? With this question, you need to start out with big strokes and then go into specifics. In Buscar, the population would look something like 70% Gaelian humans, 20% halflings, and the rest can be more exotic peoples that aren't native to the area because it is a trading town that has lots of traffic, especially human barbarians from the Great Plains and dwarves from the Garaki Mountains. For the second part of this question, you need to create a few NPCs. You should start out small. Have a handful of NPCs in your first session. 3 to 7 is a good number depending on how you chose to start your players out. Contrary to what other DMs say, I favor the approach of having a lot of NPCs and focusing on developing just a few of them. You don't need to write their dreams and aspirations, flaws and other traits. Just have a name and occupation for them and let yourself practice improv if your players choose to interact more with these less fleshed out characters populating your world. Some of the NPCs my players loved the most were just spur-of-the-moment creations, while others I invested more time in were complete abominations that should have never seen the light of day. How is this place governed? Decide now how you want your place to be ruled. Is it an independent town with a mayor that needs the approval of the council to make decisions? Is it ruled by an authoritarian who relies on a few key supporters for power projection? Or maybe it's an underground city ruled by a diarchy of devils constantly trying to outdo one another. What points of interest are in and around it? A giant statue of an ancient soldier? A stone circle that druids or priests use for religious rituals on holidays? A brothel that employs constructs? Let your imagination run rampant, and don't forget to tie these in with some quests to actually give your players reason to visit them. Part 2. The top-down approach. For this one, I recommend you start out with the Pantheon. Make a few of your own gods, but give your players the option to pick any god they want from other mythologies. Don't be sad if they don't pick your gods. They probably have a specific aesthetic in mind for their character. Use the cleric domains to help you with the creation process. Next, make a map. Incarnate and Hexographer are both good for this. A game without a world map is the equivalent of dropping your players in the middle of a foreign city where no one speaks their language and they can only rely on the instructions you give them through a phone in order to navigate it. In other words, it feels like a railroad, not an open adventure. Your map doesn't have to be big. Country level is a good starting point. Anything more than that, and you will be spending several hours to finish it. After you finish the map, flesh out the country or countries by writing down what type of government they have, what peoples live there, 1 or 2 holidays specific to them, like a national day, and the relationship they have with their immediate neighbors. Next, think about the general aspects of the world. How common is magic? How involved are the gods? What's the technology level? For this, have a look at GURPS's tech level table. It's a good starting point. Generally, the rules from building bottom up also apply here. If this is the first world you are creating, don't worry. Your players probably don't expect that much, and you shouldn't either. That was it for this video. Join me next week when we tackle running the game and ways to start a campaign.